Hey everybody, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I am back from the flea market and thought I would share with you my haul of maker stuff. So it's kind of unlike me to buy in bulk like this, but I got good enough deals that it just made sense to go ahead and get it. I spent $15 on all of this stuff. So the first thing I got was a bunch of wire loom and heat shrink. Both things are pretty expensive if you buy them retail. So this bag is, well, and a dryer line. The person that had this stuff was selling a bunch of race car parts and stuff, and so they had all of this rubber hose, and this isn't technically wire loom, but it could be used as wire loom. Wire loom, if you're not familiar with this stuff, it is split so that you can tuck a wire in there and make things neater. So that stuff is very cool stuff, very expensive. Some more rubber hose, dryer line, this metal flex tube that would be used in automotive, some more rubber hose, some more flex tube, some more flex tube, a little bit bigger wire loom, a little bit bigger hose, still bigger wire loom, bigger than that wire loom, and slightly bigger, no, about the same size wire loom. So piles of wire loom. I do have a tub that I had a little bit of this stuff in, so I can fill that tub up the rest of the way. The next thing I got is some heat shrink. And heat shrink is pretty expensive when you buy it, especially as you get into the bigger sizes. You can get the cheap kits on AliExpress relatively cheap, but when you start getting into the bigger stuff, it gets expensive. So there's some pieces here. These are 1 foot long, 1/2 inch pieces. Here's some more, almost like a wire loom spiral wrap stuff. Some smaller pieces of heat shrink, and I actually have a whole nother bag of these that somehow didn't make it into the video. I've got all these little pieces here, smaller diameters. There's some spools of heat shrink that are, I don't know, it says 20 on it. I have a feeling this is 100 foot, probably a little bit of it used, but 100 foot of heat shrink. This is 2-to-1 UL certified 600 volt stuff, so I think it's pretty decent quality. It feels decent quality. There's a smaller roll of 3/8, a piece of this giant, I guess that's heat shrink. It's pretty thick. Some more heat shrink, another random piece of wire loom, all of that stuff in there, still in the $10 bundle I got from the automotive guy. Next, still from the car guy, is something that I got primarily to put in with my enclosures, maybe for some escape room stuff. I got this part of a dashboard that has these lights on them, so I'm guessing they're 12 volt lights, and then decent quality switches. Like these, some of them are double pole and they're double throw and stuff like that. So there's some cool ones in there. There's these circuit breakers, all kind of wired together, and so I don't know. I mean, I could either use it for the look or I could use it for the parts, just to have some 12 volt stuff and some decent quality switches that are a little bit better than what I'm going to get from China. I say a little bit better, I mean a lot better than what I'm going to get from China. And along those lines, I also got this, which has, this switch is broken here, but it's got, 6 good switches, some fuse holders, a little horn button. You got 7 LEDs. This one's broken here, but you've got 7 lights there. They're probably not LEDs. So I don't know. I don't have a particular use for this, but I thought it was kind of cool. Could be in like a little escape room thing, or pull out the components and use them for something. It was basically, these last 2 things were basically a throw-in with the other stuff, so essentially free. Next is something I don't normally buy, but I got this whole bag of Ethernet cables, and the reason being is that I have a box of Ethernet cables above my head, but a lot of those were hand crimped, and just over the years from pulling them in and out of that box, they've gotten I guess I'd say not reliable. I never know if they're going to be a problem or not, and I hate testing them every single time. So this bag of Monoprice ones was I think $3, and so there's some longer ones, some shorter ones, but they're they're in the bag. These are 5 feet. These are 25 feet. So they're kind of cool. Like if I want to give them away with a project or something like that, it's nice to be able to give somebody a brand new cable. If I'm testing something around the lab, it's nice to be able to grab a new cable. And so I'm actually going to chuck my bag of orange ones that are just kind of intermittent. So I think I'm stocked on Ethernet cables for a while. I do feel like we should turn in my IT guy card for buying pre-crimped cables, but I'm getting too old for that garbage. I thought this was interesting. I got this for $1. I'm assuming this is, I think it's a one of those like wilderness cameras, and I did a quick check on this on my phone while I was there, and it's not super well reviewed in terms of people saying that like they break, and I saw that before I got it. But for $1, it's got this LCD screen. It has, I'm guessing that's a PIR sensor, a laser, the camera, the flash, some buttons, and I'm guessing because it has the screen on there, there's some kind of microcontroller in there. So I am definitely going to do a teardown of this, and I feel like $1 for an item I'm going to do a teardown on is kind of fun. I feel like I should do more teardown type videos. I feel like I've spent so much time reviewing products. And it's got USB and micro SD or SD on the side, but I feel like I spend so much time reviewing products and stuff that I don't actually get to do a lot of making and tinkering. So I'm going to do more making and tinkering, and I'm going to pull this sucker apart, and if nothing else, I got a cool enclosure. And last but not least is my untested treasure. This is a Monoprice 2x4 HDMI switch and splitter, and so it did not have any kind of remote with it or power supply, but from what I can gather, you can put up to 2 HDMI devices in, and it's going to split them 4 ways. And so this was $2, and again, no power supply, completely untested, but I've got a lot of monitors around the office and TVs and stuff like that, and I think there's times that I would want to use one output from my computer or one output from something and put it around the whole office. So this is kind of interesting, so we'll see. It's the thing that was kind of interesting to me is that it's 5 volts DC, which means that if the polarity's right, and depending on how much electricity this thing uses, I could actually power it from USB. So yeah, why don't we do that? So I figured before I spend a lot of time running around my office looking for cables and stuff like that, I would try this method. So this is a USB cable that goes to barrel jack, and I grabbed an extension cord and one of those little black web things that I got from my Walmart haul video, and it's got 2 that both say iPad on there, so I'm going to assume they're at least 2 amps. And let's see if the polarity is right and if it works. Here goes nothing. Okay, so they both light up. Nothing showing on the output. Nothing showing on the input. So I have no idea if it works. It powers up. It didn't spark or let out the magic smoke, but it's worth grabbing some cables. Okay, so for those of you guys who've never seen it, I have a TV up here that is normally how I can see what my screen is showing me, and then hanging down there at the moment is this Xiaomi Mi Box, and I basically have it hooked just to this TV right now so I can see that it's actually working. And so now I'm going to hook up the cables and see if we can get this switcher to do its thing. Now the first thing I see is that when I plug an input in, the input light is lighting up, which is a good sign. Switch doesn't seem to do anything, but I've at least got that light lighting up. Okay, so now when I hook up to number 1 and 2 on the outputs, 1 and 2 light up here, and this TV is lit up, and that TV is lit up. So looks good. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to go ahead and test 3 and 4. It does take a moment to sync, but 3 and 4 are up, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of delay between the 2 at all. So we've got the input's all working, or the output's all working, so let's check the inputs. So it's kind of funny, I had to run back to my house to grab a laptop because I have all these computers and I didn't have an easy to access second HDMI source. But I put another input in there, and you'll notice that the input doesn't light up automatically, but I've got this computer over here with my desktop on it. And so when I push this button, it takes a second, but you get a switch over and you're seeing the desktop of the computer. And one more push back and we're going to go back to the Xiaomi box. It does take a second to switch. I looked it up. This thing is $100 on Monoprice, maybe 90 something dollars, and has pretty good reviews overall. Seems to work great. $2 score. Well, thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and record the teardown of that camera box just right away, so be looking for that if that's something that interests you. Let me know if you want to see these kind of videos more. Like, subscribe. I hope you have fun watching it. Anyway, have a great day.